So this TikToker, you aren't ready for this one. So this is Sabrina, a nice beauty influencer from Chile. She posts beauty tutorials, dance videos, stuff like that. And she's on TikTok for about a year and she builds up kind of a small following. And one day, suddenly, she just stops posting. She disappeared. About 3 months later, she starts making TikToks again, from prison. So why is she in prison? Actually, let me start over. So this is Sabrina, a nice beauty influencer from Chile, also known as Narco Queen. And they call her Narco Queen because she's the leader of a small drug trafficking gang along with her brothers. The gang isn't huge, but they have cartel connections. And like most gangs, they have territorial beef with other rival gangs in the area. And they exchange a lot of pum fire. Like, lots of it. And the neighborhood residents hate it. So much so that they record videos of it. But they don't report any of this to the police because Narco Queen and her gang would threaten them. And they're kind of a scary bunch. Now, Chilean police, they recognize this problem. And at some point, they have a website set up where people can report crime anonymously. And that website gets so many anonymous reports that it gets the attention of these guys, the PDI, Counter Narcotics Division. And after a while, PDI has enough evidence. And they gather a bunch of officers and they raid all the properties affiliated with Narco Queen and her gang. In one of these properties, an apartment, Narco Queen is there. And PDI, they've got the place surrounded. And they come busting in, SWAT team style. And Narco Queen's like, oh shit, and she tries to escape and she jumps out a window. And here she is making her getaway. And her brothers do the same thing. Now PDI eventually catches up to her and they arrest her and they sentence her to 3 years in prison. And that was the day she stopped posting her videos and disappeared from TikTok for a while. Oh, but it's not over for Narco Queen. So she's in prison for about 3 months and she starts posting to TikTok again. Now, I don't know how Chilean prisons work, but I guess she has access to a phone and civilian clothing. But this is her cell and that's her prison bunk bed back there behind her. But here's where it gets interesting. While she's in prison, she meets this woman, Antonella, her cellmate. Coincidentally, Antonella is also the leader of a drug trafficking gang, and it also runs in her family. So Antonella and Narco Queen have a lot in common. In fact, they have so much in common, they eventually fall in love, demonstrated by the many photos they take together. Now, after less than a year in prison, Narco Queen is let out early. And for the most part, she goes back to making her regular beauty influencer TikToks. Now, I don't know if she goes back to the trafficking lifestyle, but I found no evidence for that. But her girlfriend, Antonella, is still in prison, and Narco Queen misses her a lot, and she posts about it. Now, allegedly, the plan is to wait for Antonella's sentence to end so that the two can be together, as they are still very much in love. But then, one day, Narco Queen had been out for about 6 months, and she needs to get her nails done, so she goes to drive to the nail salon nearby. And that's when several men in masks rush her car, and she stops in the middle of the road, and she gets out, and she tries to get away. But they pun her. Then the men start to leave, but they come back and pun her several more times to make sure she doesn't get back up. And no, she doesn't get back up. And it all happened on camera in broad daylight. They then took her car as a getaway vehicle. And they drove her car quite a distance, and then they abandoned it and set it ablaze. Now, police believe the motive for this involved settling scores, potentially related to all the beef with rival gangs that led to these videos. And yeah, by the way, Narco Queen's TikTok is still up. Shout out to Chile.